The dust on Valaris Prime never settled. It hung in the air like a red fog, making everything look like an old photograph. Jake Morrison wiped his visor for the third time in 10 minutes and kept walking. His boots crunched on broken glass and metal as he moved through what used to be a city. Behind him, 5 soldiers followed in a tight line. They were all tired. They had been searching buildings for 2 days straight, looking for anything the enemy left behind. The Syndicate had abandoned this place in a hurry, and that usually meant they left clues. "Sergeant, got something here," called out Danny, the youngest member of the team. He was standing near a collapsed building, pointing at a metal door half buried in rubble. Jake walked over and studied the door. It looked different from the others they had seen. Newer. Someone had tried to hide it by dropping debris on top. But they had not done a great job. "Clear it," Jake ordered. The team worked together, moving chunks of concrete and twisted metal. It took 20 minutes of hard work before they could open the door. Jake pulled it open slowly, his rifle ready. A set of stairs led down into darkness. "Lights on. Stay sharp," Jake said quietly. They descended into the underground facility. The air smelled wrong, like chemicals and something else Jake could not name. Emergency lights flickered in the hallway, casting strange shadows. The walls were lined with doors, all of them locked from the outside. Jake felt something cold settle in his stomach. He knew what this place was. "Prison," muttered Corporal Amy Lee, her voice tight with anger. They moved from door to door. Most of the cells were empty, but some were not. They found aliens from different worlds, all of them weak and scared. Some could barely stand. Jake called for medical evacuation immediately. "Get transport down here now. We need doctors." He spoke into his radio. At the end of the hallway, there was one more door. This one was different. It had extra locks and a reinforced frame. Jake felt drawn to it for reasons he did not understand. He forced the door open. The cell was dark except for a small light in the corner. At first, Jake thought it was empty. Then he saw her. A small figure huddled against the far wall, barely moving. Jake lowered his rifle and stepped inside slowly. "Hey," he said softly. "It's okay. We're here to help." The figure did not move. Jake came closer, and his breath caught. It was a child. She looked maybe 10 years old, though Jake knew alien ages were hard to guess. Her skin was like crystal, but dirty and cracked in places. She was so thin he could see her bones. "Amy, get the medical kit." "Now," Jake said, his voice harder than he meant it to be. He knelt down beside the girl. Her eyes were open but unfocused. Her breathing was shallow and rough. Jake had seen a lot of terrible things in his 15 years as a soldier, but this made him angrier than anything else ever had. "You're safe now," Jake whispered, even though he knew she probably could not understand him. "I've got you." He wrapped her in his jacket and picked her up. She weighed almost nothing. As he lifted her, her skin flickered with a dull gray color. Jake had heard about the Zythny before. Their skin changed colors with their feelings. Gray meant fear. The girl made a small sound, like a frightened animal. Jake held her closer, trying to be gentle despite his armor. "Sarge, transport is 10 minutes out," Amy said, appearing in the doorway. When she saw the child in Jake's arms, her face went pale. "Oh God, she needs help now," Jake said. "Get me the emergency medical supplies from my pack." Amy moved fast. She pulled out bandages, medicine, injectors, and a small scanner. The scanner beeped as it read the girl's vital signs. "She's in bad shape," Amy said quietly. "Heart rate is weak. She's dehydrated and malnourished. Looks like she has some broken bones that healed wrong." Jake felt fury building inside him, but he pushed it down. The girl needed him calm and focused. He used the supplies they had, giving her water slowly and treating the worst of her wounds. "What kind of monsters do this to a kid?" Danny asked from the doorway. His hands were shaking. "The kind we're going to stop," Jake replied. The medical transport arrived and Jake refused to let the girl go. He carried her up the stairs himself, holding her steady as they moved. Outside, the medics tried to take her, but she made a crying sound, and her small hand grabbed Jake's armor. "I'm coming with her," Jake said. It was not a request. Dr. Lisa Grant, the chief medical officer, looked at Jake and nodded. "Fine. Get in." The flight back to the ship was tense. Lisa worked on the girl with quick, efficient movements. Jake sat nearby, watching. The girl's eyes found his face and stayed there. Her skin was still gray, but sometimes it flickered to a lighter shade. When she looked at him, "She's lucky you found her when you did," Lisa said. "Another day or two, and she would not have made it." "Does she have a name?" Jake asked. Lisa checked a small device implanted near the girl's collarbone. "According to this ID chip, her name is Lyra." "Lyra," Jake repeated softly. The girl's eyes focused on him when he said her name. "You're going to be okay, Lyra. I promise. Lyra. 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 Lyra." Back on the ship, the Valiant Dawn, Captain Helen Brooks, met them in the medical bay. She was a hard woman, with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Report, Sergeant," she said. "We found captives in an underground facility. Most are stable. This one is critical," Jake replied, nodding toward Lyra. Helen looked at the small girl on the medical bed. Her expression softened for just a moment. "The others are being processed for return to their homeworlds. She'll be treated and transferred to the refugee center on Station 7. "No." Helen's eyes snapped to him. "Excuse me? She needs special care. She's too weak for a transfer. Let her recover here first. I'll take responsibility for her." Helen studied Jake for a long moment. They had served together for 8 years. She knew him well enough to know he did not ask for things without good reason. "Fine. But you're personally responsible for her care. Understood?" "Yes, ma'am." Over the next few days, Jake spent every free moment in the medical bay. Lisa said it was good for Lyra. The girl was terrified of most people, but she stayed calm when Jake was near. Her skin would shift from gray to a pale blue when he talked to her. Jake brought her food and sat with her while she ate. He showed her pictures of Earth on his datapad. He did not know if she understood, but it seemed to help. Slowly, very slowly, Lyra began to heal. On the third day, a translator device arrived. It was programmed with the Zithani language. Jake placed it near Lyra's bed and tried speaking. "Can you understand me now?" he asked. Lyra's eyes widened. Her skin flickered orange with surprise. "Yes," she whispered, in a voice rough from not speaking. You saved me." "Yeah," Jake said gently. "You're safe now." "They took me from my home," Lyra said, tears forming in her eyes. "I want my mother." Jake felt his heart break a little. "We'll find your family. I promise we'll get you home." Lyra looked at him with those huge, frightened eyes. Then she did something Jake did not expect. She reached out and took his hand. Her skin turned a soft amber color. The translator beeped. "Amber means trust," it said in a mechanical voice. Jake squeezed her small hand gently. "I won't let anything bad happen to you again, Lyra. That's a promise." And Jake Morrison always kept his promises. A week passed on the Valiant Dawn. Lyra grew stronger each day. Her skin began to shine more, though it still showed gray when she had nightmares. And she had many nightmares. Jake visited her 3 times every day. Morning, afternoon, and evening. He brought her things to make her smile. A stuffed animal from the ship's store, books with pictures, small treats from the cafeteria. Each gift made her skin glow a little brighter. Dr. Lisa watched their interactions with interest. "She responds to you better than anyone else," Lisa told Jake one morning. "Her heart rate actually slows down when you're in the room. You make her feel safe." Jake did not know what to say to that. He just knew that when he looked at Lyra, something in his chest felt tight. She was so small and had been through so much. Someone needed to care about her. "Has anyone contacted her family?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. "We don't know who her family is yet. The Zythani government hasn't responded to our messages. There's a lot of chaos out there because of the war." End quote. That bothered Jake. Somewhere, someone was missing this little girl. They needed to know she was alive and safe. One afternoon, Jake sat beside Lyra's bed reading to her. The book was a simple children's story about a lost dog finding its way home. Lyra listened carefully, her skin shifting between light blue and soft green. "What do the colors mean?" Jake asked the translator device. "Blue indicates calm contentment. Green shows interest and curiosity," the device replied. "Jake," Lyra said suddenly. Her voice was getting stronger. "Do you have children?" The question surprised him. "No, I don't." "Why not?" Jake thought about how to explain. "My job keeps me moving around. I'm always on different ships, different planets. That's not a good life for a family." Lyra was quiet for a moment. "You would be a good father," she said simply. Jake felt that tightness in his chest again. "Thank you, Lyra. My father died when I was very small." Lyra continued. Her skin turned a darker blue, like sadness. "I don't remember him much, but my mother says he was kind. Like you. Tell me about your mother," Jake said gently. Lyra's face lit up. Her skin shifted to bright yellow. "She's wonderful. She's strong and smart. She has the most beautiful voice when she sings. She used to sing to me every night before sleep. She sounds amazing. She is. She's the most important person on my whole world." Lyra paused. "Do you think she knows I'm alive? Do you think she's looking for me?" I'm sure she is," Jake said firmly. "A mother never stops looking for her child." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "I was taken during my ceremony. There were so many people. It was supposed to be the happiest day. Then the bad men came. They killed my guards. They took me. I was so scared." Jake reached out and took her hand. "You don't have to talk about it. If you don't want to." "I want to tell you," Lyra said. "You're the only one who listens. Everyone else just asks questions for their reports." So Jake listened. Lyra told him about being kept in the dark for days, about being moved from ship to ship in a cage, about not knowing if she would ever see her home again. Jake's jaw clenched tighter with every word, but he kept his voice calm and gentle for her. "You survived," he told her when she finished. "You're one of the bravest people I've ever met." "I don't feel brave. Brave people never do. They just keep going anyway." That evening, Lieutenant Ryan Cooper came to the medical bay. He was the intelligence officer, a thin man with sharp eyes, who always looked like he was solving a puzzle in his head. "Sergeant Morrison, can I speak with you?" Ryan asked. Jake followed him out into the hallway. Ryan pulled up a datapad and showed Jake a screen full of information. "I've been going through the files we recovered from that facility," Ryan said. "I found something about your girl in there." "She's not my girl," Jake said automatically. "I'm just looking after her." Ryan gave him a knowing look, but did not comment. "Her full name is Lyra Saritha Vas Azuria. She's Zythani royalty. In fact, she's a princess." Jake stared at him. "What?" "Her mother is Queen Saritha, the ruler of the entire Zythani Empire. Lyra was kidnapped 2 years ago, during some kind of important ceremony. The syndicate was holding her for ransom, but the negotiations fell apart when the war started getting worse." Jake's mind raced. The little girl sleeping in the medical bay was a princess. Her mother was a queen. Does the queen know we found her? "Why? Not yet. I wanted to tell Captain Brooks first. This is big, Morrison. The Zythani have been neutral in this war. If we return their princess, it could change everything. I don't care about politics, Jake said sharply. That little girl needs to go home to her mother. That's all that matters. Ryan nodded. I agree. But this needs to be handled carefully. We need to contact the Zythony government through proper channels. This could take time. How much time? Could be weeks. Maybe longer. Jake felt frustration building. She's been away from her mother for 2 years. She shouldn't have to wait any longer. I know. But we have to do this right. The next morning, Captain Helen Brooks called Jake to her office. She sat behind her desk, looking tired. The war was hard on everyone, but it showed most on the officers who had to make the difficult decisions. Lieutenant Cooper told me about the girl, Helen said. About who she really is. Yes, ma'am. This puts us in a delicate position. The Zythony Empire is powerful. We need to return Princess Lyra in a way that doesn't cause an incident. All due respect, Captain. But she's a little girl who wants her mother. It shouldn't be complicated. Helen's expression softened. In a perfect world, you're right. But we're at war. Everything is complicated. I'm putting together a diplomatic mission to return her to the Zythony homeworld. It will take time to arrange. Let me take her, Jake said suddenly. Helen looked surprised. What? Let me be part of the mission. Lyra trusts me. After everything she's been through, she deserves to have someone she knows with her. Someone who won't leave her. Helen studied him carefully. You've gotten attached to her. She's a good kid who's had a terrible time. She needs someone in her corner. After a long moment, Helen nodded. All right. You'll be part of the escort team. But Morrison, when we get there, you hand her over to her family and you step back. She's royalty. She's not your responsibility anymore. I understand, ma'am. But even as Jake said it, he knew it was not that simple. Lyra had become important to him in ways he did not fully understand. The thought of just walking away from her felt wrong. That afternoon, Jake told Lyra the news. Her skin went through a dozen colors in seconds. Shock white, joy yellow, fear gray, hope orange. I'm going home, she whispered. Really? Really. I'm going to take you there myself. Lyra threw her arms around Jake's neck and held on tight. Her skin blazed bright gold. The translator beeped. Gold indicates deep affection and love, it said. Jake hugged her back gently. It's going to be okay. You're going to see your mother again. Will you stay? Lyra asked, her voice muffled against his shoulder. After we get there, will you stay with me? Jake hesitated. I have to return to my ship eventually, but I'll make sure you're safe and happy first. I promise. Over the next few days, preparations began for the journey. A diplomatic officer named Amanda Pierce joined the team. She was a smart woman who knew everything about Zythani culture and customs. Amanda taught Jake about proper behavior in the Zythani court. How to bow, what words to use, what gestures were polite, and which were offensive. Jake tried to pay attention, but he kept thinking about Lyra's face when she saw her mother again. The Queen is known for being very emotional, Amanda explained. The Zythani value honesty in feelings. They don't hide what they feel like humans often do. Good, Jake said. Then she won't have to hide how happy she is to get her daughter back. The day before they were scheduled to leave, Lyra had the worst nightmare yet. Her screams woke half the medical bay. Jake was there within minutes. Still in his sleep clothes, he found her curled up on her bed, shaking and crying. Her skin was dark gray, almost black. Jake sat beside her and pulled her into his arms. It's okay. You're safe. I'm here, he said over and over. Lyra clung to him, her whole body trembling. I dreamed I was back in the dark place. I dreamed they took me again. That will never happen. I won't let it. Promise? I promise. Lyra eventually fell back asleep in his arms. Jake stayed there all night, keeping watch, keeping his promise. Dr. Lisa found them that way in the morning. and just smiled sadly before walking away. Tomorrow, they would begin the journey to Azuria. Tomorrow, Lyra would start going home. And Jake would make sure nothing stopped that from happening. The shuttle that would take them to Azuria was smaller than Jake expected. It was designed for diplomatic missions, which meant comfortable seats and nice walls instead of the military transport he was used to. Lyra held his hand as they boarded, her skin a nervous orange color. "It's a long trip," Amanda Pierce explained as they settled in. 2 weeks through safe space. We'll make a few stops at coalition stations for supplies. Captain Helen Brooks came to see them off. She shook Jake's hand firmly. "Take care of that girl, Sergeant. And remember what I said. When you get there, you hand her over and step back." "Yes, ma'am," Jake replied. The shuttle lifted off smoothly. Lyra pressed her face to the window, watching the Valiant dawn get smaller as they pulled away. Her skin shifted to a sad blue. "You okay?" "I'm happy to go home," Lyra said, "but I'll miss Dr. Lisa, and Amy, and Danny. They were all kind to me. They'll miss you too." The first few days of travel were quiet. The shuttle had a small living area with couches, a kitchen, and separate sleeping quarters. Lyra stayed close to Jake, rarely letting him out of her sight. At night, she slept in the bunk next to his, and when she had nightmares, he was right there. Amanda used the time to teach Lyra about what to expect when they arrived. She showed her pictures of the royal palace, explained the ceremonies that would happen, described the people who would be there. "Your mother has been looking for you for a very long time," Amanda said gently. "The whole empire has been mourning your loss. Your return will be celebrated across every Zythani world." Lyra looked overwhelmed. Her skin flickered between several colors. "Will Mother be angry that I was captured? That I let them take me?" Jake felt his heart clench. "Lyra, no. None of this was your fault. Your mother will just be happy you're alive." "How do you know?" Lyra asked, her eyes wide. "Because that's what parents do. They love their children no matter what. And when something bad happens, they just want them safe again." Amanda nodded in agreement. "Sergeant Morrison is right. Queen Saritha has never stopped searching for you. She'll just be grateful to have you back." But Jake could see Lyra was still worried. 2 years was a long time. She had been so young when she was taken. She probably barely remembered what normal life felt like. On the 5th day of travel, Jake found Lyra sitting alone in the observation area, staring out at the stars. Her skin was a dull gray. He sat down beside her. "What's wrong, kid? What if she doesn't recognize me?" Lyra asked quietly. "I was smaller when they took me. I've changed. What if Mother looks at me and doesn't see her daughter anymore?" Jake put his arm around her shoulders. "A mother always knows her child. Always. You could be 10 feet tall and covered in mud, and she'd still know you the second she saw you. Really, really. And you know what else? You're going to know her too. Deep down, in your heart, you'll remember. Even if your mind is fuzzy, your heart will know your mother." Lyra leaned against him. "I hope you're right." "I am. Trust me." As the days passed, Jake noticed Lyra changing. She talked more about her memories of home. Little things at first. The way her room smelled like night-blooming flowers, the sound of water fountains in the palace gardens, the taste of her favorite food, something she called crystal fruit. "Tell me more," Jake encouraged. "Tell me everything you remember." So Lyra did. She talked about her tutors, who taught her history and music, about her best friend, another young Zythani girl named Sarah, about the festivals and celebrations, about her mother's laugh, which was like bells ringing. Jake listened to all of it, watching her skin grow brighter with each memory. This was good. She was remembering who she was before the syndicate took her. She was finding herself again. Amanda joined their conversations sometimes, adding details about Zythani culture. She explained that the coming-of-age ceremony Lyra had been kidnapped from was one of the most important events in a young Zythani's life. It marked the transition from childhood to youth, and it was supposed to be magical. The ceremony will probably be held again when you're ready, Amanda said. Your mother will want to give you that experience properly. Lyra's skin went bright yellow at the thought. Really? I could do it again? Of course. You deserve to have that moment without fear. On the 10th day, they stopped at Coalition Station Theta for supplies. Jake took Lyra to the station's observation deck, while the shuttle was being refueled. She had never been on a space station before her kidnapping, and her eyes went wide at the sight of dozens of ships coming and going. Look at them all, she whispered, her skin shifting through rainbow colors of excitement. Pretty amazing, huh? Jake said. A human family walked past them, a mother, father, and 2 small children. The kids were laughing and running around while their parents tried to keep them calm. Lyra watched them with an expression Jake could not quite read. What are you thinking? He asked. I used to have that, Lyra said softly. Not exactly like that. My father is gone, but I had a family. I had a normal life. And then suddenly I didn't. You're getting it back. In a few days, you'll be home. I know. But it won't be the same, will it? I'm different now. I've seen terrible things. I know what it's like to be alone and scared. I can't just forget that. Jake knelt down to her level. No, you can't forget it. And you shouldn't try to. What happened to you was real, and it changed you. But that doesn't mean you can't be happy again. You're stronger now, Lyra. You survived something awful. That strength is part of you now. Lyra threw her arms around his neck. I don't want to say goodbye to you when we get there. Can't you stay on Azuria? Can't you visit sometimes? I'll visit, Jake promised. As often as I can. You're stuck with me now, kid. Her skin glowed gold, and she held on tighter. The final days of the journey felt both too fast and too slow. Lyra was excited and terrified at the same time. Her skin changed colors every few minutes, showing all her mixed feelings. Jake stayed close, offering quiet reassurance when she needed it. Amanda coached them both on the formal arrival ceremony. There will be crowds, lots of people. The entire Zythani government will be there, plus representatives from many other worlds. It might be overwhelming. I'll be with her, Jake said firmly. You can walk with her to the palace, but once inside, protocol requires that Princess Lyra be presented to the Queen by our diplomatic representative. That's me. Jake did not like that. But he understood. This was not about what he wanted. It was about getting Lyra home safely. On the last night before arrival, Lyra could not sleep. Jake sat with her in the common area, both of them looking out at the stars. In the distance, they could just barely see Azuria, a bright blue-green planet with swirls of white clouds. That's home, Lyra whispered, her voice full of wonder and fear. That's home, Jake agreed. Jake, what if I freeze? What if I see Mother, and I can't move or speak? What if I mess everything up? You won't. And even if you do freeze, that's okay. Your mother will understand. She'll just be happy to see you. Will you be right there with me? Every step of the way, until you're in your mother's arms. I promise. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I love you, Jake. Like a father. Is that okay? Jake felt his throat get tight. Yeah, kid. That's more than okay. I love you too. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching Azuria get closer. Tomorrow would change everything. Tomorrow, a lost princess would finally go home. Tomorrow, a mother would get back what she thought was gone forever. Jake made a silent promise to himself. He would see this through. He would make sure Lyra got to her mother safely. And even after that, even when he had to leave, he would find ways to stay in her life. She had become too important to him to just walk away. The shuttle's pilot came over the speaker. We'll enter Azurian orbit in 8 hours. Everyone should get some rest. 1. Jake stood up and offered Lyra his hand. Come on. Let's try to sleep. Tomorrow's a big day. Lyra took his hand, her skin a calm blue. Tomorrow. I see my mother again. Tomorrow you go home. As they walked to their bunks, Jake felt the weight of what was coming. This was not just a diplomatic mission anymore. This was a daughter returning to her mother after 2 years of separation and pain. This was a family being healed, and somehow, against all odds, a gruff human soldier had become part of that story. He did not know how it happened. He just knew that when Lyra ran into her mother's arms tomorrow, he would be there to witness it. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. Jake had seen many beautiful things in his years traveling the galaxy, but nothing compared to Azuria. The planet seemed to glow from space, its oceans a brilliant turquoise, and its continents covered in what looked like living crystal. As their shuttle descended through the atmosphere, he could see cities that floated in the air, connected by bridges of light. Lyra pressed her face to the window, her skin cycling through every color imaginable. She was shaking, though Jake could not tell if it was from excitement or fear. Probably both. It's more beautiful than I remembered, Lyra whispered. Amanda Pierce sat across from them, looking nervous. She had been preparing for this moment for 2 weeks. But now that it was here, even she seemed uncertain. The royal palace is in the capital city of Lumina. We'll land directly in the royal courtyard. Are you ready, princess? Lyra looked at Jake with wide eyes. He squeezed her hand. You've got this, he said quietly. I'm right here. Jake had put on his formal military dress uniform that morning. It felt stiff and uncomfortable after years of wearing combat gear. But Amanda had insisted. He was representing humanity at a royal court. He needed to look the part. As they broke through the clouds, Jake saw the palace for the first time. It was massive, made entirely of crystal that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. Towers reached toward the sky, and gardens spread out in all directions. Thousands of Zithani had gathered in the courtyard and surrounding areas, all waiting. That's a lot of people, Jake muttered. Lyra's skin went pale with fear. I can't do this. There are too many. Jake turned her face toward him gently. Look at me. Not them. Just me. We're going to walk down those shuttle steps together. I'll be holding your hand the whole time. You just focus on putting one foot in front of the other. Can you do that? Lyra nodded, though she still looked terrified. The shuttle landed with barely a bump. Outside, Jake could hear the roar of the crowd. Amanda stood up and smoothed her diplomatic robes. Remember the protocol we discussed, she said to Jake. We walk to the palace entrance together. I will present Princess Lyra to the royal court. You will stand respectfully to the side. What if Lyra needs me? Jake asked. Then protocol be damned, Amanda said with a small smile. That little girl comes first. The shuttle door opened. The sound hit them like a physical wave. Thousands of voices, all calling out in the Zythani language. Jake did not need a translator to understand. They were celebrating. Their lost princess had come home. Jake took Lyra's hand. It was ice cold despite the warm air. Together, they stepped out onto the shuttle ramp. The crowd's noise grew even louder. Jake saw Zithani, people of all ages, their skin showing every color of joy and celebration. Some were crying. Many held their hands over their hearts in what Amanda had told him was a gesture of deep emotion, but Jake barely noticed any of that. His attention was fixed on the palace entrance ahead, and on the figure, standing at the top of the stairs, Queen Saritha. Even from a distance, she was stunning. Tall and regal. Her crystalline skin was a deep royal purple. She wore a crown that seemed to be made of frozen starlight, but what struck Jake most was her absolute stillness. While everyone around her was moving and celebrating, she stood frozen, her eyes locked on the small girl holding Jake's hand. That's her, Lyra whispered. That's my mother. They walked forward slowly. The crowd parted for them, creating a path straight to the palace steps. Every eye was on Lyra. People reached out as if to touch her, but stopped short, respecting the space around her. Jake felt Lyra's hand trembling in his. He could see her skin flickering between colors, so fast it made his eyes hurt. Fear gray, joy yellow, nervous orange, love gold. All of it at once. They reached the base of the stairs. Amanda stepped forward to begin the formal presentation. But then, something happened that no one expected. Queen Saritha moved. She did not walk down the stairs with royal dignity. She did not wait for the proper ceremony. She ran. Her crown fell off her head, clattering on the crystal steps, and she did not even notice. She just ran down the stairs toward her daughter. The crowd went absolutely silent. Saritha reached them and dropped to her knees in front of Lyra, not caring that her royal robes pooled on the ground. Her hands reached out, shaking, stopping just short of touching Lyra's face, as if afraid she might disappear. "My star," Saritha whispered in Zythony. Jake's translator device picked it up. "My precious star. Is it really you?" Lyra stood frozen, her eyes filling with tears. Her skin had gone completely white with shock. "Mama?" she said in a tiny voice. That one word broke something in the queen. Her regal composure shattered completely. Tears began falling from her eyes, and Jake saw they were not like human tears. They were liquid crystal, catching the light as they fell, and shattering into tiny rainbow prisms on the ground. "Yes, my darling. Yes, it's Mama." Lyra made a sound that was half sob, half laugh. Then she threw herself into her mother's arms. Saritha caught her and held on like Lyra was the only thing in the entire universe that mattered. She pulled her daughter close, one hand cradling Lyra's head, the other wrapped tight around her small body. Her whole frame shook with sobs. The queen of the Zithani Empire, ruler of 1,000 worlds, cried like her heart was breaking and healing at the same time. And her daughter cried with her, both of them holding each other as if they would never let go again. Jake felt his own eyes getting wet. He stepped back quietly, giving them space. Around them, the crowd was crying too. Thousands of Zythani, all witnessing their queen's pain and joy. "My baby," Saritha kept saying over and over. "My baby. My star. My heart. I thought I'd lost you forever. I thought you were gone. I'm sorry, Mama," Lyra sobbed. "I'm sorry. I let them take me. I'm sorry. I couldn't fight back. I'm sorry." Saritha pulled back just enough to cup Lyra's face in her hands. "No. No, my darling. You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. What happened was not your fault. Do you hear me? Not your fault. I tried to be brave like you taught me. You were brave. You survived. You came back to me. That's the bravest thing anyone could do." Saritha kissed her daughter's forehead, her cheeks, her hair. "I love you so much. I never stopped looking for you. Never stopped hoping. I love you too, Mama. I missed you every single day." They held each other again, and the crowd began to make a sound. It started soft and grew louder, a humming that resonated in Jake's chest. Amanda leaned close to him. "It's a song of reunion," she whispered. "The whole city is singing for them." Second, Ender, the song washed over the courtyard, beautiful and haunting. Saritha and Lyra stayed locked in their embrace, both of them glowing now. Saritha's skin had shifted from purple to brilliant gold, the same gold as Lyra's. The translator beeped quietly. "Matching gold indicates family bond and shared love," it said. After what felt like forever, and no time at all, Saritha seemed to remember where they were. She stood slowly, keeping Lyra in her arms, even though the girl was getting too big to carry easily. She looked around at her people, tears still streaming down her face. "My daughter has returned," she announced in a voice that carried across the entire courtyard. "My Lyra is home." The crowd erupted in celebration. The humming song became shouts of joy. People were embracing each other, laughing, crying, celebrating as if they had each personally gotten back something precious. Saritha's eyes found Jake. She studied him for a long moment, still holding Lyra. Then she walked toward him, with her daughter in her arms. Jake stood at attention, trying to remember the proper way to bow to royalty. But before he could move, Saritha spoke. "You are the human soldier who saved my daughter." "Yes, Your Majesty." Sergeant Jake Morrison. Sergeant. Saritha's eyes, the same shape and color as Lyra's, filled with fresh tears. "You brought her back to me. You kept her safe. I just did what anyone would do, ma'am." "No." Saritha's voice was firm despite her tears. "Not anyone. Lyra has told me through our communication. She told me about the human who carried her from the dark place, who sat with her during nightmares, who promised to bring her home and kept that promise." Lyra nodded against her mother's shoulder. "Jake saved me, Mama. He took care of me when I was scared. He made me feel safe." Round, Saritha shifted Lyra to one arm and reached out to place her hand over Jake's heart. It was a gesture of deep respect among the Zethanai. "There are no words in any language sufficient to express my gratitude," she said. "You gave me back my reason for living. My heart. My everything." Jake felt his throat get tight. "She's a special kid, Your Majesty. Anyone would have done the same, but it was you who did it. And I will never forget that." Saritha lowered Lyra to the ground, but kept hold of her hand. With her free hand, she reached up and removed one of the rings from her fingers. It was a band of crystal that seemed to contain swirling galaxies inside it. "This is a ring of kinship," Saritha explained. "It is given only to those who are considered family. I want you to have it. Jake Morrison." "Your Majesty, I can't accept that. I'm just a soldier." "You are family," Saritha said firmly. She took his hand and slid the ring onto his finger. It resized itself automatically to fit perfectly. "You cared for my daughter when she needed someone most. You brought her home. You are no stranger to the Zythani. You are kin. You are one of us." Jake looked down at the ring, then at Lyra's smiling face, then at the Queen's tear-stained but joyful expression. "Thank you," he managed to say. "It's an honor." Saritha smiled, and it transformed her entire face. "Will you walk with us into the palace? My daughter should not have to let go of you just yet." "I'd be happy to, Your Majesty." Together, the three of them climbed the stairs into the palace, with Amanda following respectfully behind. The crowd's song followed them, a sound of pure joy that Jake would remember for the rest of his life. A mother had her daughter back. A daughter was finally home. And somehow, a human soldier had become part of their story in a way he never expected. The palace interior was even more beautiful than the outside. Walls of living crystal shifted colors as they walked past. Gardens grew inside the halls, filled with flowers that glowed softly. Water flowed in streams through the floors, creating a gentle music that filled the air. But Jake barely noticed any of it. He was focused on Lyra and her mother walking ahead of him. Saritha had not let go of Lyra's hand since they entered the palace. Every few steps, she would look down at her daughter, as if making sure she was really there. They entered a large private chamber. Saritha dismissed everyone except Jake and Amanda with a gesture. She sat on a comfortable couch and pulled Lyra down beside her, keeping her close. "Tell me everything," Saritha said to her daughter. "Tell me about the time you were gone. I need to know." Lyra's skin flickered to nervous gray. "Mama, it was bad. I don't want to upset you. I am already upset that it happened at all. But I need to understand what you endured. Please, my star." So Lyra told her. She explained about the kidnapping, the darkness, the fear. She talked about being moved from place to place, never knowing if she would see home again. Saritha listened with crystal tears falling silently down her face, her hand gripping Lyra's tighter and tighter. When Lyra got to the part about being found, her skin shifted to warm amber. And then Jake came. He found me in the dark place. He carried me out and promised I would be safe. And he kept his promise, Mama. He stayed with me every day. He made me feel like, maybe, things could be okay again. Saritha looked at Jake with an expression he could not quite read. You did this for my daughter? A child of a species you had never met before? She needed help, Jake said simply. That's all that mattered. Most soldiers would have simply handed her off to medical staff and continued their mission. I'm not most soldiers, Your Majesty. And Lyra is not just any kid. She's special. Lyra's skin glowed bright yellow. Jake read me stories. He showed me pictures of Earth. He sat with me when I had nightmares. He made everything less scary. Saritha stood and walked to Jake. Up close, she was taller than him, her presence commanding, despite her emotional state. But her eyes were kind. You gave my daughter hope when she had none. You gave her safety when she felt only fear. You became what she needed when she had no one. Saritha's voice broke slightly. How does a mother repay such a debt? There's no debt, Your Majesty. Lyra's happiness is enough. It is not enough for me. Saritha turned to Amanda. You are the diplomatic representative, yes? Yes, Your Majesty. Amanda Pierce, representing the Human Coalition. I wish to make a formal announcement. The Zythany Empire will join the Coalition Alliance. We will stand with humanity against the Syndicate and all those who prey upon the innocent. Amanda's eyes went wide. Your Majesty, that is a significant decision. Are you certain? Completely certain. The Syndicate took my daughter. Humanity returned her. I know where honor and justice lie. Saritha's skin shifted to a determined dark blue. My people have remained neutral for too long. No more. We will fight alongside those who fight for what is right. Amanda looked like she wanted to say something about proper diplomatic channels and procedures, but she just nodded. The coalition will be honored to have the Zythany as allies. Good. We will discuss the details later. For now, I wish to spend time with my daughter. Saritha returned to the couch and gathered Lyra back into her arms. You will stay for a while, yes? Both of you? I would like to show my gratitude properly. We can stay a few days, Amanda said. Our ship is scheduled to return in 72 hours. Lyra's skin flashed to sad gray. Only 3 days? But I just got Jake back. I just got home. Jake knelt down beside the couch. Hey, I'm not disappearing. I'll come visit. As often as I can. You're stuck with me. Remember? Promise. I promise. Over the next 3 days, Jake saw a side of Lyra he had not seen before. In the palace, surrounded by her people and her mother, she began to bloom. Her skin stayed bright colors most of the time. She laughed more. She seemed lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. Saritha was never far from her daughter's side. She was clearly trying to make up for 2 years of lost time. They spent hours together, talking, walking through the gardens, simply being near each other. But Lyra always made sure Jake was included. She would run to find him, grab his hand, and pull him along to whatever activity she and her mother were doing. You are very important to my daughter, Saritha said to Jake on the second day. They were in one of the palace gardens, watching Lyra play with several other young Zythany, who had been her friends before the kidnapping. She's important to me too, Jake replied. I can see that. And I am grateful she had you when I could not be there for her. Saritha paused. She calls you her human father. Did you know that? Jake felt his chest tighten. She said something like that. Yeah. It does not bother you to have that responsibility placed upon you? No, Your Majesty. It's an honor. Saritha smiled. Please, when we are speaking privately, call me Saritha. We are family now. Are we not? I suppose we are. Then I will call you Jake. And I will tell you something, Jake. My daughter has been through terrible trauma. She will need support and love to fully heal. Her people can give her that love. But you give her something else. You give her proof that there is goodness in the universe. that strangers can become family. That hope is real. I just don't want to let her down. You won't. I can see it in the way you look at her. You genuinely care. I do. More than I expected to, honestly. When I found her in that facility, she was just another rescued captive. But then she looked at me with those big, scared eyes, and something just clicked. I had to protect her. I had to make sure she was okay. Saritha placed her hand over his heart again. The Zythony gesture of deep respect. Then, we are the same. You and I. We are both people who would move worlds to keep her safe. On the final day, Saritha held a formal ceremony in the Great Hall. The room was massive, filled with Zythony nobles and representatives from dozens of worlds. Jake stood uncomfortably in his dress uniform, while Saritha made official announcements. She spoke about the alliance with humanity. She spoke about the war against the Syndicate. And she spoke about Jake. This human soldier saw my daughter not as a political opportunity, but as a child in need. He carried her from darkness into light. He gave her safety and comfort when she had none. He brought her home to me. Saritha's voice carried through the hall. For this, I declare Jake Morrison to be a friend of the Zythony people for all time. He is welcome on any Zythony world, in any Zythony home. He is family. The hall erupted in that humming song Jake had heard before. He felt his face getting hot with embarrassment, but Lyra was beside him, holding his hand, her skin bright gold with pride. That evening, it was time to leave. Jake stood in the palace courtyard beside the shuttle, his small travel bag already loaded. Lyra stood in front of him, trying very hard not to cry. Her skin was a mix of sad blue and desperate gray. I don't want you to go, she said, her voice small. I know. But I have to get back to my ship. My duty is not done yet. When will you visit? Soon, I promise. Maybe in a few months, I can get leave and come back. That's too long. Jake knelt down to her level. Hey, look at me. You're home now. You're safe. Your mom loves you so much. Your people love you. You're going to be okay. I know. But I'll miss you. I'll miss you too, kid. Jake pulled her into a hug. But this isn't goodbye forever. This is just... See you later. Lyra held on tight, her face buried against his shoulder. You're the best human father anyone could have. Jake felt his eyes getting wet. And you're the best kid anyone could ask for. Saritha approached them, her own eyes shining with tears. Jake Morrison, you will always have a home here. Always. Do not forget that. I won't, Your Majesty. Take care of her, with my life. As I know, you would do as well. Jake finally pulled away from Lyra and stood. He gave her one last smile, then turned and walked to the shuttle. He did not look back. If he did, he might not be able to leave. The shuttle lifted off. Through the window, Jake could see Lyra and Saritha standing together, holding hands, watching him go. Lyra's skin was glowing gold despite her sadness. She was going to be okay. She had her mother back. She was home. Amanda sat across from him. You did a good thing, Sergeant. Endway. I just helped a kid. You did more than that. You changed the course of the war. The Zythany fleet, joining the coalition, will tip the balance of power. We might actually win now. Jake looked down at the crystal ring on his finger. The ring that marked him as family to an entire empire. I didn't do it for politics. I know. That's what makes it matter even more. Back on the Valiant Dawn, Captain Helen Brooks greeted Jake personally. Welcome back, Sergeant. I hear you made quite an impression. Just did my job, Captain. Right. Your job now includes being personally responsible for the most significant diplomatic alliance of the war. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure. Jake smiled slightly. How much leave do I have coming? Why? I made a promise to visit someone. And I keep my promises. Helen's expression softened. 3 months from now, I can give you 2 weeks. That works. Thank you, ma'am. 3 months later, Jake returned to Azuria. Lyra met him at the landing pad, running full speed into his arms. Her skin was bright, happy, yellow, and she was laughing. You came back! You really came back! I told you I would. Saritha approached more slowly, a warm smile on her face. Welcome home, Jake. And that word, home, settled into Jake's chest in a way that felt right. He had spent his whole life moving from ship to ship, planet to planet, never really belonging anywhere. But here, with this girl who had become his daughter in all the ways that mattered, and with a queen who had made him family, he had found something he did not know he needed. He had found a place where he belonged. Over the years that followed, Jake visited as often as he could. He watched Lyra grow up, helped her through the lingering trauma, celebrated her victories, and supported her through challenges. He was there when she finally completed her coming-of-age ceremony, this time without fear. He was there when she started training to someday lead her people. And when the war finally ended, when the Syndicate was defeated in large part because of the Zythani alliance, Jake retired from military service. Saritha offered him a position as an ambassador, a bridge between the human and Zythani peoples. He accepted, because some promises were meant to be kept forever, and some families were not bound by blood, but by choice and love, and the willingness to carry a scared child out of darkness and into light. Jake Morrison had gone to war expecting to fight enemies and complete missions. He had not expected to find a daughter. He had not expected to become part of a family that spanned species and worlds. But sometimes the best things in life were the ones you never saw coming. And as Jake sat in the palace gardens, watching Lyra teach younger Zythani children about the importance of hope and kindness, he knew he had found exactly where he was meant to be. Home.